What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Tuesday to you all. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. A big thanks for tuning in, however you're tuning in. If it's on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, worldwide, streaming it at sportstalk1051.com, maybe on the app, maybe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, the Alexa devices, all that good stuff. We appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you're doing it. So, what do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Brew Crew, what a win last night, 9-1. 9-1 victory for the Brewers against the Dodgers, putting up 5 runs in the first inning, where the Dodgers had to take out their all-star pitcher, Yamamoto. Can't even get through one inning. Not getting through one inning. Brewers, fantastic starts. And then followed up by a stellar pitching performance from Freddie Peralta, Brewers' own all-star. But he went 6 strong innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 7 Ks, just 1 walk issued. But nice. It was a solid performance for Mr. Peralta in the game last night to get his 10th win on the season, to improve to 10-4 and lowering his ERA down to a 2.74. Elsewhere, what a debut for Mr. Andrew Vaughn, who came over in a trade from the White Sox for Aaron Savali, getting called up because of Rhys Hoskins going on the injured list with a thumb injury. Not a bad way to introduce yourself, with a 3-run shot in your first career at bats for the Brewers. Yelich also adding another home run. He's up to 18 so far this season. So, but nice win, awesome win last night for the Brewers. You can tell. Even Freddie Peralta talked about it after the game. Prepare a little bit differently. We talked about it yesterday. We've all kind of been in, anybody who's played sports, whether it's been just high school, college, rec league, whatever. You go up against a team that is kind of viewed as, the top dog or the Goliath. You have a little different feeling. Maybe you're a little bit more dialed in. Maybe you're a little bit more focused. Maybe you're a little bit more pumped up. And when you listen to Peralta after the game, you kind of sense that was the case for him. And just, the other guys on the team too. And you could see it. You could tell it. You could kind of feel it, that they were a little bit more dialed in, that they were like, let's go. Let's do this thing. So very impressive win last night for the Crew. Now we set the stage for game 2. Mizorowski, Kershaw. Brewers have a shot to clinch at least this particular series, with a win tonight. But we'll talk about that. We'll recap again the game fully from last night, including, Christian Yelich, and just kind of maybe, I know it's the summer of Sal, but maybe it's a little bit of the summer of Yelly here too. He's up to 260 batting average, which is still below his career numbers, but after a slow start to the season, kind of picking it back up here. As we mentioned, those 18 home runs, also 63 RBIs on the season. Does have 13 stolen bases on top of it. But you break it down by the month, June, he hit 333. July, he's only at a 240 right now. A little bit of a slower start to July, but he does have a couple home runs so far this month. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk a little bit about Joey Ortiz. Is he in Pat Murphy's doghouse? Another game and another game where he was benched, not starting. Andrew Monasterio getting the start for the second day in a row at shortstop. And as we know, Pat Murphy is not one to shy away from being open and honest in his assessment for a lot of different things. And he was asked yesterday before the game about Joey Ortiz. We'll tell you what he had to say. So pretty blunt answer surrounding Joey Ortiz. So we'll talk plenty of Brewers, recapping last night's win and looking ahead to game 2 tonight with the Miz taking on Kershaw. What else do we have on the docket? We'll continue our Packers training camp preview series as we are just a couple weeks away from Packers reporting to camp. First practice coming up on the 23rd. The rookies and the quarterbacks, though, actually report next week, so a little bit earlier for those. But first practice itself is the 23rd. So yesterday we kicked off our training camp preview series where we take a look at different storylines heading into camp and preseason and such. And yesterday talked a little bit about the offensive line. For today, I want to talk a little bit about the wide receivers. Definitely think that's a storyline heading into training camp here for the Pack. You got a first-round pick, Matthew Golden coming in, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. Is this the last year of Romeo Doubs? What about Christian Watson, who's coming off an ACL injury? Not quite sure where, or excuse me, when he's going to be available and such. So we'll talk about the wide receivers because definitely I think a lot of intrigue and some things to watch with this group when we get to training camp and such. So we'll hit that up. We'll catch up with Pete Knudsen from the Eau Claire Express. The Express picking up a win last night against Thunder Bay at Carson Park. So for our Eau Claire Express chats, we'll chat it up with Pete coming up just past 8 o'clock. Then after that, we'll talk a little Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal as we inch closer and closer to the Badger football season. I know there was Josh Pate from CBS Sports. You're probably seeing some lines and win totals and such in Wisconsin. I think one of the last ones, Sportsbook has them at 5.5 wins, projected at 5.5 wins, and Josh Pate from CBS Sports, zero confidence in the Badgers reaching the projected 5.5. Which I'm sure a lot of probably Badger fans feel the same way. But look, he also talked about it too. Doesn't think that Wisconsin doesn't have an identity. Said that he doesn't think Wisconsin fans don't know what their identity is either. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that right now, when it comes to Badger football, you don't know what the team's identity is? We kind of thought what they wanted to do the last couple of years. It seems like now they're maybe going back on the offensive side, maybe kind of going back to their bread and butter of a power run game and such, but maybe we just don't know. We don't know at this point. Do you see 6 wins on this schedule for this Badger football team? Or is it going to be a tough year? I mean, top 5? Most difficult schedule in the nation, easily the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten. Yeesh. Yikes. So we'll talk some Badgers with Mr. Cardinal coming up here just about 8:25 or so. It is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what the heck is grinding your gears? What the heck is grinding your gears? All right, text those on over, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Hit me up on the socials, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, or on Instagram. You can hit me up over there too at Dan Kasper Sports. Let me know what's grinding your gears. Also, we're going to do a little bench starts cuts. We're going to change it up because we got the fair coming up this week, right? Northern Wisconsin State Fair. So we are going to do a bench start cut edition with the fair. We'll give you those options this hour, coming up a little bit this hour. Actually, I'll just do it right now. We're gonna do fair foods. All right, think a little unhealthy, think a little fair foods, classic fair foods. When you go over there and such, I'm gonna give you 3 options. All right, yes, we could have a whole bunch of them, but these are your 3. We're gonna go with the good old-fashioned cheese curds. We're going to go with the good old corn dog, or you're going to go with like funnel cake or any type of deep-fried bread. Bench start cut, fair food edition. Which one you rolling with between those 3? All right? So give me your picks. Have a little fun with this one. Let's get things rolling here this morning, though. Let's lead it off talking some Brew Crew. We put up a poll question last night for our Post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. Jeff Passan from ESPN was on ESPN Wisconsin yesterday, Wildy and Tausch's radio show. And he made a comment saying that he believes that the Brewers are one power bat away from being a legitimate World Series contender. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with Jeff Passan from ESPN when he says that the Brewers are just one power bat away from being a legitimate World Series threat? The results from the poll that we posted up last night, little over 50% of you agreed, saying yes. A little over 30% of you said no. And I believe it was about 15% that said they already are a legitimate World Series contender. Where do you fall between those three options? Where do you fall? Do you think they're a World Series contender right now? Do you agree that they need just one power bat? Or maybe you're on the side of like they need a lot more than that. Where are you at? All right. Even if you voted, I want to hear from you. I want your insight. I want your analysis. All right. So hit me up. We're going to take that quick break. And then the leadoff, we'll talk some Brewers. 9-1 victory last night against the Dodgers. What a start. What a start against the Dodgers. Can they do it again tonight with Mizorowski on the mound going up against Kershaw? For all of your grocery needs, just head on over to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. They offer fresh produce, quality meats, and a wide selection of everyday essentials, all in one convenient place. And since it's summer, you might want to be sitting out on the back porch and or doing a little tailgate and you need a couple brewskis or such. Don't forget to grab yourself a 6-pack of Man Cave Lights in the wine and spirits department. Load up on those Man Cave Lights, baby. So the next time you're in Eau Claire, stop by Hy-Vee. Shop smart. Shop Hy-Vee. And don't forget, take advantage of those fuel perks too. Save money at the cash register with your groceries and save money at the gas pump with fuel perks. I love that fuel perks incentive over there at Hy-Vee. Definitely helps me save at the pump, no question about it. Let's get things rolling here this morning. Talking a little Brew Crew baseball. Brewers, how about that win last night? 9-1 over the Dodgers, putting up 5 runs in the first inning, chasing Yamamoto, can't even get through the first. Andrew Vaughn in his first career at bat with the Brewers with a 3-run shot. Brewers go on, and then Freddie Peralta, dominant performance, awesome performance from Freddie Peralta. 6 innings, 5 hits, 7 Ks, no earned runs from him. You could tell he wanted that one. You could tell he was a little bit more dialed in. Kind of mentioned it, after the game and such, and said, it is an intimidating lineup when you have a guy like Ohtani, batting leadoff and such. So, but it was a fantastic performance by a lot of different dudes on this. It took a whole entire team effort. It really did. I mean, it was the offense giving Freddie Peralta an early lead, 5-0, and then he goes out there and pitches a gem. Pitches fantastic. So, I mean, that was a fun game. If you're a Brewers fan and you're watching or listening to it on the radio, it was just a fun game. Like, heck yeah. I mean, especially after the first inning. If you can't get pumped up about that and see that, I mean, whew, you got to check your pulse then, bro. But just an impressive overall win last night for the Brewers. Mentioned Vaughn picking up that home run. Obviously, he's a big talking point. Was during the game and after the game, getting the start over Rhys Hoskins, who is on the injured list. Part of the trade from Aaron Savali, was a former first-round pick, but spent his career at the White Sox. Just a couple years ago, he did have 19 home runs. But really hasn't played up to that potential, right? That potential that comes with being a former high pick. So now maybe getting a nice fresh restarts. It was actually 19 home runs last year, not a couple years ago, excuse me. But you look at his, it was a 21 actually in 2023. So I mean, he has, when you look at his career, he has put up some decent power numbers. I mean, 2021 he had 15 home runs. Just a 235 batting average. OPS was 705. That was in 127 games. 2022 in 134 games, he put up 17 home runs, batted 271 with a 750 OPS. 2023, he hit 21 home runs, batted 258 with a 743 OPS. This year, or excuse me, in 2024, 2024, 19 home runs, 246, 699 OPS, but was off to a slow start this year with the White Sox. In 48 games, he had 5 home runs, just batting 189 and a 532 OPS. So he was sent down to AAA when he was acquired by the Brewers for Aaron Savali. Now getting a shot here with the Brewers with Rhys Hoskins on the injured list. You hope it's a scenario or a situation where they're gonna be able to re-spark his career and such, and now playing with a playoff contender, maybe you get a little bit more out of him and such. Way too early to tell here, but no question about it. Impressive performance from him last night, and kind of setting that bar high when you go in your first career at bat and you hit a 3-run dinger. Just saying. So, but that was even like in the first inning, a sweet pick play to force the double play. Grounder to him. throws it to Monasterio over there covering second, able to go back to first and pick up that double play to get out of the first inning after giving up a little leadoff hit by Otani, who went with a grounder to the opposite side, and that was a nice, sweet pick play by Andrew Vaughn in that first inning too. So, and then Christian Yelich hitting his 18th home run of the season, which I think, given his slow start to the season, when you look at the month of April, he was hitting just 240 and just had 5 home runs. May, 245, 7 home runs. June was his month, hitting 333 with 4 home runs. A little bit of a, July, 240, but 2 home runs. But I think it still kind of maybe catches some people off guard here a little bit. Oh, man, he's got 18 home runs. He's got 63 RBIs, a little bit higher than I kind of thought. They would be. I'm kind of that. I'm like, oh yeah, dude's approaching 20 home runs by the All-Star break. He's approaching. He's showing some pop. He's showing some power this year. More home runs at this point, heading in the All-Star break than he had last year. Definitely not hitting as high an average as he was at this point last year. But Yelich is providing that power in the middle of the lineup. You can't deny that. And when you look at it from a run-producing standpoint, Christian Yelich in all of Major League Baseball is tied for 10th in RBIs, tied with Kyle Schwarber. So, I mean, he is their run producer on this team right now. He's and when you look at it, if we just look at batting average, okay, his 260 compared to the other hitters above him, Suzuki with the White Sox, 263. I mean, Aaron Judge is just 360. Cal Raleigh's 268. Suarez, 252. Pete Alonso, 287. Riley Green, 285. Pete Crow Armstrong, 272. Devers, 265. James Wood, 288. Schwarber's a 251. OPS, that's the statistic. That's the number that, we're kind of transitioning to. Yelich does have the lowest OPS from everybody above him on that RBI list. He's at a 793. The next lowest is Pete Crow Armstrong at 859. So, and then home run wise, yeah, he's got the fewest on there. But when you look at it from just a National League perspective, if you want to narrow it down, Yelich is tied for the 11th most home runs in the National League at 18. Otani's got 30. Suarez sitting there at 28, and Schwarber's got 27. So, but I still feel like, when you look at it, like from a power standpoint, is it getting a little bit like, oh yeah, dude, he's got 18, man? Because it almost feels like he doesn't have that much. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but. Then Freddie Peralta, man. I mean, dude's having a career year yesterday with another fantastic performance, picking up his 10th win of the season, 10-4 overall, lowering that ERA down to a 2.7. Peralta's been the most stable starting pitcher in this rotation, most consistent starting pitcher in this rotation for the Brewers. And no question about it, he is the most deserving all-star probably on this team. But he's been having a fantastic year. And, going back to a conversation, I hate talking about this at this point in time, and I don't think it'll happen before the deadline. I hope not. But, I mean, if it comes to that point in the offseason where the Brewers decide to move on from him and try to get something in return, if he keeps pitching this way and keeps putting up those numbers, you would think it would be a big return. But man, I don't think you do. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that situation, to be honest with you. But dude is having a fantastic year and a career year so far. But another fantastic performance from him. I mean, 3 wins in a row now for Freddie Peralta? Is it 3 wins in a row? Let me bring it up just to double check. Actually, no. It's more than that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in a row in his last 5 starts. That's what Freddie Peralta has done. 5 wins in a row. That goes back to June 13th against the Cardinals. He went 6 innings, 1 earned run. Against the Cubbies, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. Against the Pirates, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. Mets, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. And then yesterday, 6 innings, 0 earned runs. And it was kind of a typical Freddie outing, too. Goes to 6 innings, but his pitch count's near 100. 98 pitches. That's the one of the downfalls with Freddie Peralta, and we've talked about it before, but that is one of the issues with Freddie Peralta. He does get that pitch count up fairly high without going too deep into a game. You know, I think he's gone past 6 innings. Just one time this season? Yeah, just one time this season, Freddie Peralta went past 6 innings, and that was back on April 2nd against Kansas City when he had 8 innings. And just 97 pitches, though. But other than that, he has not gone past 6 innings at any point this season. And that's one of his downfalls. You'd like to see him maybe consistently try to push to get to 7 innings, or at least get, 6 1/3 or 6 2/3. I mean, but he racks up the pitch count fairly early in his outings. But overall, it's been a solid year from Peralta. There's not a whole lot to complain about him at this point in time. And then we'll see what tonight brings. Mizorowski, how will he bounce back after his performance against the Mets? His chance now has to come from the Dodgers, this lineup with the Dodgers. The Dodgers team in the last 2 games, struggling. I mean, they get swept by the Astros. They lose last night to the Brewers. Can the Brewers try to tag Brewers offense, tag some more runs early in the game and give Mizorowski some early run supports? I think that's going to be a key for this. Can that offense go up against Kershaw and give their team some early run support, and give Mizorowski some early run support? Maybe kind of, I don't want to say, relax him too much, but, just maybe give him a little bit of that cushion, if you will. And you look at the numbers against Kershaw from some of these Brewers hitters, and one of them that has historically hit well against Kershaw actually has been Christian Yelich. Now, Christian Yelich has the most ABs against him, which, I mean, Yelich has spent his whole career in the National League like Kershaw has. So, I mean, play the odds and just not the odds, but, just play the numbers game. And, of course, it makes sense that Yelich would have the most ABs against Kershaw. But you look at it, in 25 at-bats, he is hitting 360 against Kershaw with a 1.069 OPS, and that includes a couple of home runs. Even Contreras, in 7 at-bats has hit 429 with a home run and a 1.572 OPS. Other than that, you look at the lineup, there's like a game's worth of experience. So not a ton of experience going up against Kershaw. Chirio just has 3 career ABs. Frelick 4. Terang 3. Okay. But Yelly and Contreras have hit well against Kershaw. Yelich, way more experienced than Contreras, but still. So, I mean, the power bats have that experience, but can they get the table setters? Or Pat Murphy likes to call them the bricklayers. Can they get on base and help with the run support? And you look at Kershaw, he's a vet. I mean, he's been around the game for a long time, and he didn't make his season debut until a little bit later on this season. Wasn't until May, right? Not until May. But he's 4-0 with a 3.43 ERA. He's coming off of a no decision against the White Sox, which he gave up 4 earned runs in 6 innings in that game. But in June, he went 4-0 with a 2.28 ERA. kind of looking like vintage Kershaw. And if it wasn't for his first game against the Angels back on May 17th, where he gave up 5 earned runs in a no decision, those numbers would probably look pretty darn good in May too, because the 2 games after that against the Mets, no earned runs, just a couple innings, and 1 earned run in 5 innings against Cleveland. So we'll see how Mizorowski does against this lineup. And I know, if you kind of break it down, the Dodgers offensive lineup as of late, maybe not putting up the power numbers that they were earlier, but overall, they're still a fantastic offense that we went through, just yesterday with some of the numbers and how they're ranked across the regular season and such. So, I mean, they're still a big-time threat, offensive threat. And I think this is a good test for the Miz, for Mizorowski. I'm anxious to see how he does against them. I'm anxious to see how he bounces back after a poor performance against the Mets. His first 3 starts, people singing the praises of Mizorowski, and rightfully so. Build the statue for him already, for crying out loud. He has a hiccup. I think, we knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when it was going to happen. He was going to have one of those games, and it happened against the Mets. Now, how does this young flamethrower bounce back? How does he react? How does he go out there and showcase what he did maybe his first 3 starts of his career? And how does he do it against a lineup like the Dodgers? I hope Peralta is kind of mentoring him and helping him out, maybe a Quintana and such to prepare for a lineup like this when, you got Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freeman as your first 3 hitters in that thing. I mean, that's got to be pretty intimidating for a youngster, for a 23-year-old starter. So I hope the veterans are at least, kind of mentoring and maybe helping them out, help to prepare for this. But I'm anxious and I'm excited to see how Mizorowski not only does against this lineup, but again, how does he bounce back from a poor performance against the Mets? Got to move on from it. Got to do your next start. And speaking of poor performances here of late, Joey Ortiz benched again, second in a row, not in the starting lineup. And Pat Murphy was pretty blunt about the reasoning of why Joey Ortiz has not been in the lineup. The manager's pissed. Quote, the manager's pissed. I went on to say, I want him to give me his best approach at the plate. We've given him a lot. We've played him every day, and we need him. And he can't just have lapses at the plate like that. He's got to fight through that. It's not an injury. It's just simply Pat Murphy not happy with Ortiz's approach at the plate. And specifically, I think if you look at like Saturday's game against the Marlins, right? And there's other examples too, but a recent one. Ortiz watched 3 strikes down the middle. Then he swung at 2 pitches that were way out of the zone on Saturday. If you want to do some analytics, his swing rate this year is at 59%, while the league average is at 67%. So, I mean, it hasn't been good offensively, and this is a guy, I don't know if C-Bomb's listening and such, but, early part, a lot of people chimed in saying, Ortiz, you can't keep him in the lineup. Got to move on from him. And then he had that month of June where he was just on fire. Then you had people say, man, maybe I was wrong about Joey Ortiz. But now he's kind of back in a little bit of a slump here. And as Pat Murphy said, Pat Murphy's pissed at him. He's upset with him. Wants him to have better quality at-bats. Now, Murphy did something similar last year to Jackson Chourio. Remember? Earlier on in the season, Chourio was kind of benched. I think the quote was he has to learn to be a major leaguer. And he was struggling at the plate offensively. Pat Murphy sat him down for a few games. Ended up working. Cheerio went on to have a great finish to his season. Top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. Will it work for Joey Ortiz? Nobody knows. We don't know. Won't know until he's back in the lineup. And he will be back in the lineup. That's one thing that Murphy has done with his players, as he has given them chances. And he has given them chances to bet on themselves, to prove to the team and to prove to themselves that they belong in the lineup. When Murphy was asked, what do you want to see from Ortiz, during these days on the bench, Murphy said, conviction. I want to see conviction when he gets back in there. Like, I'm not letting this happen. I have a responsibility. I don't have to get results, but I have to be convicted. I have to be ready. I have to be clear-headed, and I have to be ready to fire. What do you think about Pat Murphy being open and honest about this? At times we've asked about, hey, should Pat Murphy have said that in the media? Because you don't hear coaches or managers say this so much. You hear them be so political in their answers, where they don't want to have a soundbite. They don't want one of their quotes to be thrown out there and spread across the media wildfire. But again, I as a fan, I appreciate the open and honesty. For my job, I really appreciate the open and honesty from Pat Murphy. I think it's awesome. At times we get so frustrated at coach speak. I understand coach speak. I understand the purpose of coach speak, because, maybe coaches don't want to start a media wildfire and maybe give the impression that they're throwing one of their players under the bus, because we know how things can spread in a media landscape. We know. Murphy, he's just so open and honest. And honestly, I feel like, maybe not for every player, but I feel like for a lot of players, they respect that. Maybe some don't. Some players may not appreciate it. Not everybody's going to be the same. I mean, put yourself in Ortiz's shoes. Everybody might be a little different. Maybe you wouldn't appreciate the manager being open about it. Maybe you'd be like, dude's not wrong. He doesn't need to cover for me. He's not wrong. So everybody's a little different at this point. Whenever Ortiz comes back into that lineup, let's see how he responds. Just kind of like what we were saying with Mizorowski. How does he respond after coming off of a poor outing in his young career? And he's got to do it against a very, 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 very good offense. How do you respond? How does Ortiz respond to this? And let's be real, whenever he is, if it's today or the next day that he's back in that lineup, he's got a short window to do so, because trade deadline's coming up. If he gets back in that lineup today or the next couple days and it continues to be some poor quality at-bats, maybe that puts more pressure on Matt Arnold in the front office to find a replacement for him. So he doesn't have a ton of time to kind of maybe showcase that he's fixed some stuff. Speaking of additions by the trade deadline and such, do you agree with Jeff Pass that the Brewers are one big at-bat, one big bat away from being a legitimate World Series contender? Let me know your thoughts. Quick break. We'll be back to finish up the first hour after these quick words. Looking to upgrade your home with some brand new flooring, but you're not sure where to start? Make it simple on yourself and head on over to our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Not sure whether tile or some new carpet or luxury vinyl planks would work in your space? Their team, they'll help you out. They'll help you figure out what will look best in your space, function the best, and fit in your budget. Whether it's the bedroom, whether it's the bathroom, the rec room, man cave, living room, they have got you covered. Their team there is absolutely fantastic to work with. And I know if we ever need some new flooring, I know I don't even have to think twice about it. I'm going to Carpet City Flooring Center with our good friends Jason, Aaron, Ben. The entire team over there is just absolutely fantastic. Love those peeps over there. And I'll tell you what, my birthday is coming up next week. I wouldn't mind some more flooring, some new flooring in our home there too. So, but if you are, whether it's your home, maybe you're a business owner and you're like, you know what, place needs a little updating, a little upgrading with the flooring game. Where do I go? You go to Carpet City Flooring Center, whether it's your work, whether it's your home or your personal space. They can help you out with some shower tiles too. They do a bunch of different stuff over there. Go give our friends at Carpet City Flooring Center a quick visit, and they can help spice up your area that you're looking to upgrade the flooring in. Let's we got a couple texts here. Bench Star Cuts, Fair Food Edition. What's the Northern Wisconsin State Fair? Just going to be starting up here soon. You got corn dogs, you got cheese curds. I'm calling it fry bread, but it's like, the elephant ears or the funnel cakes and such. I'm just kind of lumping them in one category there. Live a Dream Jeff says, morning, Dan, bench corn dogs, starting the curds, cutting the sweet stuff. C-Bomb says, love Pat Murphy's style. The players know exactly where they stand. He holds his players accountable. I love it. Steve from Eau Claire says, I'm with you. And that I love how Murphy doesn't mince words in the public and will call players out if it's warranted. You never saw that with Council, and he sounded so robotic at times. I think Murphy's old school approach is exactly what a team as young as ours needed at exactly the right time. Sometimes there's no school like the old school. So, do you agree with Jeff Passan, who told Willie and Tausch yesterday that he believes the Brewers are just a power bat away from being a legitimate World Series contender? Yay or nay? In our latest 715 Speaks poll question brought to you by Post Glass and Mirror, a little over 50% of you said yes, you agree. A little over 30% of you said no, which I would assume you believe that they need more than that. And it was around 15% of you that said they're already one. They're already a World Series contender. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Do you feel like they're one bat away? Do you feel like they need more than that? Or do you think right now they're already a legitimate World Series contender? I would probably fall in the category that, I want another bat. I want another power bat. Whether that's coming from the left side of the infield, maybe another outfielder with the news of, Garrett Mitchell going to be out for a while. I know Blake Perkins potentially is going to be here soon, but, he's not a power bat. I don't know about the first base situation. I don't want to, crown Vaughn right now after one game. And, I know he's in his history with the White Sox. He's been double digits in the teens and one time over 20, but I don't want to crown him. I would agree. I would agree with the majority that I think they need another power bat. Starting pitching, I think they're good. They're set. Bullpen, maybe another arm in there too. What playoff contending teams wouldn't want another bullpen arm? I mean, that just seems like a foregone conclusion. But I would say a power bat right now is the biggest need, whether it's from the left side or maybe it's another infielder. They need that in their lineup. Yelich is providing some power. I think you do have to factor in Contreras. How much is that finger injury affecting his power a little bit? I think you do have to throw that into the conversation. So I wouldn't mind another power bat, maybe bat cleanup, a little bit of the order, maybe in the fifth spot, somewhere in there. Get a little protection for Yelich in that lineup. What would be my ideal lineup? Would it be like Sal at leadoff, Chirio at 2, Yelich at 3, Contreras at 4, and then maybe you bring in another power bat at 5, somewhere around there. Or, maybe you bring your power bat in and he's batting in that 4 spot, then you put Contreras at 5. So, just need another power threat in that lineup. I think they at least need that to be. Now, when we say a legitimate World Series contender, like you could say, okay, they've got the pieces. They've got all the pieces that they need to win a World Series. Can you say that right now about this Brewers team? 91 games into it, 51-40. Can you say right now that they have all the pieces needed to win? I don't think I can. And I think they need that one power bat. At least one more power bat. Then we're cooking. Then I think we can have that conversation. And I think it's regardless if it's from an outfielder or left side of the infield. I feel like, just me personally, I feel like there's going to be more options coming, available from an outfielder. With third base, I mean, Dodgers, I know they've had a Max Muncy injury and Yankees and such. It might be harder to find a third baseman or shortstop, so maybe it's coming from the outfield. Who knows? All right, let's finish up with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
You got good smelling coffee in here.
Do I?
Yeah, something smells good in here. It's got to be your coffee.
Probably.
Well, you're an allergy guy. Do you have seasonal allergies?
I used to really bad, but not so much anymore.
Do you know anybody that's suffering with them right now? Like
Hudson.
Okay. Oh,
Mhm.
He's got them too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was thinking of that because I don't have them either, but my sister does, and we grew up together, and like she would get through 3 or 4 sneezes in a row, and you just stop blessing them. I'm like, pull it together, man.
Benadryl used to be my candy in the summer.
Oh yeah, that'll knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
Benadryl. They should make that in adult form, but just call it something else.
I can't do the daytime. It always had to be the nighttime.
During the day?
Like the daytime ones would just not work for me. I had to do the ones that would knock me out.
Well, I was thinking of you because of allergy season, and I know you have some, but I came up on a list of the strangest or most unique allergies. Do you know anybody that has a way out, like left field bonkers allergy? Like, for example, somebody on here said they're allergic to crayons, but only Crayola brand. Like, they'll get a rash if they color with, but they can use the Rose Art ones that are kind of waxy and don't do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
They can use those, but not Crayola crayons. Like, what a random allergy.
I used to be allergic to plums.
How'd you find? Well, there's one way to find that out, I suppose.
Grocery store sample.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And no other fruit, though?
No.
Peaches, nectarines, anything like in the plum adjacent family?
Nope.
Somebody said blueberries. Every other berry's fine, but not blueberries.
Yeah, I used to be allergic to eggs as a kid.
Yeah.
I outgrew it, but I couldn't have homemade cake, cupcakes.
Okay, see,
mayo,
that's weird.
Ranch dressing.
Because somebody on this list said they're allergic to eggs, but only scrambled.
Okay, so I could eat egg whites, but not the egg yolk.
Okay, and I know some people in the
that's-
reverse that can do the yolk and not the whites because
Yeah.
like a histamine thing.
But I outgrew that, and now I eat them all the time.
Somebody says their son is allergic to dog saliva, not dogs themselves. So like not the fur or dander.
I've heard that.
But just the drool.
I've heard that.
Okay.
I heard that because there was some thought I remember as a kid, if a dog licked me or licked somebody, they broke out.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you grew out of most everything then?
Besides peanuts.
What about, have you tried plums lately?
No.
Somebody said they're allergic to water, like touching it. So showers make their skin break out.
Isn't your body made of water?
Can you imagine that? Said they thought it was fake until they saw it in action. They have to use special wipes to quote unquote shower. So you can't even take like a dunk in the shower.
Don't they have water inside their body?
I know. It's weird. I'm telling you, humans are weird. The more you dig and go down the rabbit hole, humans are weird. Though somebody actually says this, even though we joke about it, in the winter, says they're allergic to cold. It's called urticaria. So if they touch something cold, like ice or snow, they break out in hives.
That's weird.
They said they went into a cold lake once and passed out. Can you imagine?
Yeah, they probably passed out because it was cold.
Yeah, that's called hypothermia.
Yeah.
That's not an allergy.
Hey, really quick, bench start cut, fair food. Corn dog, cheese curds, funnel cakes.
Cutting corn dogs.
Starting cheese curds or funnel cakes?
Starting cheese curds.
Right,
Always start cheese curds, guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. Second hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning of July 8th. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts if you're already up and at it. First hour, we spent all the time talking some Brewers. Brewers game 2 tonight against the Dodgers. Mizorowski versus Kershaw, first pitch, 6:40. Coverage will begin at 6:05 on your radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. We're asking a couple things for you Brewers fans. One, do you think they are just one power bat away from being a legit World Series contender, or do you think they are right now a legit World Series contender? Do you think they're just one away? Do you think they need a lot more? Do you think they currently are a legit World Series contender? Do you think they have all the tools necessary right now? Yay or nay? All right, let me know. Hit me up, either texting, social media, video streams, all that good stuff. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up a little bit later on. We've got about an hour from now. We'll do our Eau Claire Express chat. Pete Knutson is going to be joining us just past 8 o'clock. So we'll catch up with the Express. The Express winning last night against Thunder Bay. They're back at Carson Park tonight. And then tomorrow, don't forget doubleheader, especially with the kiddos. Doubleheader tomorrow, taking on the Minot Hot Tots. So got a little doubleheader action if you're looking for a little day baseball game tomorrow at Carson Park. We'll also catch up with RJ Cardinal. We're going to talk a little Badger football with him at about 8:25 this morning. So after we chat with Pete from the Express, it is a Toys and Four to Grind My Gears Tuesday. I want some good ones. I'm in the mood for some good Grind My Gears Tuesday. So Surveyor, C-Bomb, anybody else out there, if you have a good Grind My Gears Tuesday, I'm in the mood right now. So send those on over. Text them on over at 715-830-1912. We are also doing bench start cuts since it is Tuesday, a little fair edition with our bench start cut. You've got your three options: your corn dogs, your cheese curds, or your like funnel cakes, fry bread, whatever you want to call them, elephant ears, that sort of stuff. You got a bench one, you got to start one, you got to cut one. All right, little fair food edition with the Northern Wisconsin State Fair happening this week. Saw this. This is I wish I had boatloads of cash to have this amazing sports collection to where like my man cave was almost like a museum. Like that would be so cool. It's never gonna happen. But I always get kind of intrigued about when like memorabilia goes up for auction for sale. And if you're a Willie Mays fan, well, you might want to pay, and you got a lot of cash. You might want to pay attention to an upcoming auction here. But it looks like Willie Mays, his championship ring, his MVP awards, and his Presidential Medal of Freedom are all going to be going up for auction, and all proceeds will go to education, training, and health services for youth via the Say Hey Foundation. So if you're a Willie Mays fan and you want to add something to that collection, it looks like it's through Heritage Auctions. But his 1954 Giants World Series ring is estimated to go between $500,000 to $1 million. Both of his MVP awards, $250,000 to $500,000 each, and his Presidential Medal of Freedom between $50,000 and $100,000. So following the auction, an online sale of additional items from the collection will be held on September 28th. Ooh. So unreal. And then, I was kind of, because this is from Collect, this website Collect. And then I saw a little bit below. How many of you are collecting cards right now? Like maybe you got back into it the last few years. It really spiked back up in COVID, right? A record $305 million was spent on trading cards in the month of June. $305 million spent on trading cards in the month of June. More than $245 million came from eBay sales. Whew. That's a lot of cash. Lot of cash going to trading cards. This was according to Card Ladder. of the sales logged by Card Ladder for the month, 6 cards topped $500,000, 68 cards topped $100,000, and 239 cards topped $50,000. Man, that's insane. See, I kind of dabble and look in that. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm not like I don't care if mine are base cards or anything like that. If I think it's a cool card, I might just buy it to add to the collection and such. But man, I wish I had a better collection. That's insane. The hobby is really, really spiked up. I just thought those were kind of interesting numbers and nuggets over there. Yeah, man. All right. We're going to talk a little Packers coming up here as we continue our training camp series countdown, because training camp practice starts up in a couple of weeks. Quarterbacks and rookies, and I believe it's injured players too, will be reporting at the back end of next week. But the first practice is on the 23rd. So yesterday we kicked off our Packers training camp preview series of the top storylines entering training camp and preseason. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the offensive line. Definitely a lot of intrigue surrounding the offensive line. I mean, you go across it, whether it's Zach Tom. Zach Tom, from a playing standpoint, might be the person you have to least worry about. But there's a storyline surrounding him. Will he get a contract extension before the season starts, during the season, or will he enter free agency? Will he be playing on his final year? You look at it across. Sean Ryan, is he going to win the job or not? Or is it Jordan Morgan that's going to win the right guard job? Elton Jenkins moving over to center after being an all-pro guard. He wants a new contract. And at left guard, Aaron Banks, who got a big deal in free agency. He's your new left guard. And then left tackle. Is it going to be Rasheed Walker? Can it be Jordan Morgan? What about second-round pick Belton? And then you look at the depth. I mean, to me, the offensive line, if it's not number one, it's close to number one in terms of position groups that I'm very curious and we'll be paying attention to maybe the most once we get to training camp and preseason games, just to see how it all shakes out. Because, I feel like there's 7 locks on this thing. I feel like 7 players have it locked up. You've got Zach Tom, you've got Elton Jenkins, you've got Rasheed Walker, you've got Jordan Morgan, you've got Anthony Belton, you've got Banks and Sean Ryan. I think you got 7 locks there. Then it comes into, well, how many offensive linemen are they going to keep? Is it going to be 8, 9, 10? So how many spots are going to be left available for depth purposes? Now, depth is important too, because you look at it after those 7, you're probably like, okay, are we good or are we not good? So we talked a little bit about that. If you missed that, it is up on the Man Cave podcast, part of our tailgate series as well, the 715 Green and Gold Tailgate Talk podcast. So let's chat a little bit about the next storyline heading into training camp for the Packers. And these aren't in any particular order. Like, I'm not ranking them like this is the top one or this is, number 13 and we're counting down. Just in my opinion, the top storylines heading into camp. I want to talk about the wide receivers. All right. I want to talk a little bit about the wide receivers. Got a first-round pick for the first time and for some people's lifetime. First-round pick that's a wide receiver from Green Bay. Matthew Golden coming in. You've got Jayden Reed entering year 3. Is he the number 1 wideout on this team? What about Dontavian Wicks? Is he gonna have a bounce-back year in terms of his drops? Overall, the receivers, they're going to be better at catching the football. Is this Romeo Dobbs' final year in Green Bay? What about Christian Watson? We know we're not going to see him right away, but could it still be his final year in Green Bay? What about the depth of the other guys from this wide receiver department? So definitely some intriguing lines surrounding that. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk a little Packers wide receiver as we continue our training camp countdown series. Coming up after these quick words. Just a few weeks away from the 5th annual Casper Classic at Lake Hallie Golf Course, and we're down to single digits for available two-person teams for the 1 p.m. tee time. Friday, August 1st for just $90 per team, not 90 per person, 90 per team. All right, so split it between you and your bud, $45 a piece. But for $90 per team, you get your meal, you get your carts, you get some drink tickets. You get your round of golf, 9 holes for Friday, August 1st at Lake Hallie Golf Course to help benefit our own Backyard Dreams. Our biggest fundraiser for Backyard Dreams, and so would appreciate if you're able to golf. And a big thanks to everybody who has signed up already. Big shout out to all of you. Tip of the cap to all of you, and a big tip of the cap to our partners for this Casper Classic. First off, Lake Hallie Golf Course for hosting us this year. Park Ridge Distributing, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Carpet City Flooring Center, VFW Post 305, Myron Construction, Doodah Gin, AJM Automotive Services, Hy-Vee, Economy Furniture, Muldoon's Menswear, Home Oasis, and Service Master. If you're interested in helping us out and being a partner of ours, like a whole sponsor, reach out and let us know. We would love that support. Or if you are interested in donating a raffle prize, if you want to donate a raffle prize to help us out, that would be awesome, because that's where a lot of our Backyard Dreams funds come from, are the raffle prizes. And a big shout out to Awards and More, donating a sweet golf decanter sets, Economy Furniture for a chair, Spectrum Industries for a gaming chair, the Packers for football. We got some Brewers tickets. Chippewa River Industries is going to be throwing in a prize package along with Service Master too. So a big thanks to everybody who's stepping up and donating a prize package, because again, that's where pretty much all of our funds for Backyard Dreams, I shouldn't say all of them, but a good portion of our funds for Backyard Dreams comes from is the raffle prize. So a big thanks to everybody who has donated a prize for that, and Rocky and Brandon's mom too. I know they're working on a couple of baskets and such, so I gotta give a shout out to Rocky and Brandon's mom for that too. So we do have a couple of grind my gears. Grind my gears. Let me bring those on up here. We got C-Bomb saying, what grinds my gears are parents in the stands getting on a 13-year-old umpire, or any umpire for that matter. Listen, your 10-year-old isn't playing in the World Series. That 13-year-old umpire is a kid learning the game. If you're a Little League parent, it's okay to disagree with the call. But if you yell at an umpire, get lost, you don't belong at the ball field. Living the dream, Jeff. Hayward in Summer grinds my gear. I'm through there every day, Monday through Friday, between the Mud Ducks and the Fibs and some of the local people. No one knows what a blinker is, speed limits are, or where the heck they are going. Not to mention, everyone waits forever for when the light turns green, or when they run through red lights. Absolutely horrible. Even worse than Claremont. Ooh, that is saying something there, man. All right. Good couple of grind my gears. It is a Toyson Ford grind my gears Tuesday. So what the heck is grinding your gears? What's grinding your gears? Text them on over to me at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can also hit us up on the video streams. You can do that too. So all right, let's continue our Packers training camp preview series, storyline preview series, highlighting what I think, in my opinion, are some of the top storylines heading into training camp now that we are just a couple weeks away. The countdown is on. I mean, 2 weeks from tomorrow, it's the first practice, for crying out loud. All right. Quarterbacks and rookies report next week. I mean, it's almost here. It's almost here. So yesterday we highlighted the offensive line. Today, as we continue our Packers storyline, training camp storyline, countdown, preview series, whatever we want to call it, I want to talk about the wide receivers. because this is, I think, a group that is definitely going to be under the spotlight, not only in training camp and preseason, but throughout the majority of this regular season, throughout this whole regular season. You look at last year in this group. I mean, what's one of the issues that was surrounding this group throughout the whole season? Drops. One of the worst in the league in terms of drop rate. They were a young group last year, but a lot of third down issues with dropping the football, and it just never really clicked. Dontavian Wicks, specifically was great, and if you are a believer or you follow some of the metrics at getting off the line of scrimmage and creating separation with a defender, but drops. Jane Reed drops. We had those issues. We had Romeo Doubs ghost in the Packers and then ended up getting suspended for a game. Christian Watson was having a nice bounce back year until he tore his ACL. Now, this offseason, Packers, they signed McCole Hardman. They draft a wide receiver in the first round for the first time since Javon Walker. And then they double up, third round, Savion Williams. So you have this group, when we look at it, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Savion Williams, Dontavian Wicks, McCole Hardman, Christian Watson recovering from an ACL, Bo Melton's on there. You got Malik Heath. Bo Melton's trying to play a little corner to make himself more versatile to try to make this team. Where do we begin with this wide receiver group? Well, let's begin with the guys that are returning from last year. Last year it was the topic of, do they have a number one wide receiver? Do they need a number one wide receiver? There's that debate. And if they do have a number one wide receiver, is it Jaden Reed? Can it be Jaden Reed? I know there's some people are asking that question. Can Jaden Reed, who's maybe not the biggest, maybe not the fastest, but can he be a number one wide receiver? Does he have the tools? Does he have the physical aspects to be a number one wide receiver in this league? You look at Jaden Reed's career, just 2 years into the league, and you look at the numbers that he has put up. 119 receptions, 1,650 yards receiving, 14 total touchdowns, and this is all in 2 years. You kind of break it down. I mean, last year, 857 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. Okay, very similar numbers between his first 2 years. In fact, though, his rookie year, 2023, he had 94 targets, caught 64 balls, 793 yards, 8 touchdowns. This year, almost 20 fewer targets, 75 targets, 55 catches, 857 yards, 6 touchdowns. So a little increase in terms of average and a little increase in terms of the yards, right? Jaden Reed, to me, is a wide receiver that I don't think you can pigeonhole into one spot on the field. And we've seen Green Bay utilize him in different roles, whether it's lining up at the backfield, playing in the slot and such. I do feel like Jaden Reed can also play a little bit on the outside. He did that at Michigan State. I know size-wise, when you see, he's 5'11" and a $185, $190, wherever he's at, he's, got the body size of a typical slot receiver. I don't think you can pigeonhole a guy like Jaden Reed as just a typical slot receiver. I think you can use him in multiple different ways, and I think they're going to continue to do that even with a guy like Savion Williams on the roster right now. But I think Jaden Reed, as of right now, is probably their best playmaking wide receiver. That could change. That could change with Matthew Golden. That could change with Williams. We just don't know. But right now, I would say Reed is probably their most, or is the receiver that brings a little bit more to the table from what we have seen so far. Now, I think the potential is there for Matthew Golden to be that number one wide receiver, but we don't know yet. We don't know. I think Golden, the ceiling, to quote Michael Jordan, the ceiling is the roof. I think the roof on his game and the ceiling on that kid's game is going to be incredibly high. I think he's got all the potential in the world. He brings you speed. He brings you some size, a little bit of size. He's not a Christian Watson size big, but to me, Matthew Golden can be a number one type of receiver. I truly believe that. But will he hit that potential? We just don't know yet. I think he's got the traits. I think he's got the tool to do it. We just don't know yet. Jayden Reed right now, to me, on paper and from what we've seen in the last couple of years, is probably your entering week one, your number one receiver in terms of playmaking ability. You got Romeo Doubs. I feel like Romeo Doubs, this is just straight up gut, but I feel like Romeo Doubs is going to be a guy on a mission this year. I'm expecting a big season for Romeo Doubs. And you look at the numbers that he has put up throughout his career. 2022, he played 13 games, 425 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers year, final year in Green Bay. 2023, 17 games, 674 yards, 8 touchdowns. And then last year, 13 games, dealt with a couple concussions, 601 yards, 4 touchdowns. Entering a contract year, how last year played out with the suspension and then, a couple concussions. I don't know why. I have this feeling that Doubs is going to have maybe not 1,000 yards, but maybe he eclipses over 800, 900 some, gets like 8 touchdowns. He's going to earn himself a nice contract. I don't think it'll be in Green Bay. Could be wrong, but I don't think it will be. Who knows? Maybe that changes. But I just feel like this is almost like set up for Doubs to have a really good season this year. And he's kind of been this preseason MVP type of guy. Remember, was it like 2022, his rookie year? And he was like the talk of preseason. Right? He was like the guy between him and Jordan Love in preseason. And it was kind of the same in 2023. But then it's like regular season, where is it? He's made some good plays, and he has been a nice safety net for a lot of throws, and he's been there for some big throws and such, and extending drives and moving the chains. But I feel like Romeo Doubs has been the guy that has been so piped up in preseason that when it gets to the regular season, doesn't hit those expectations that a lot of us have put on him. I'm expecting more from Doubs this year. And I don't, it's just a gut feeling. I feel like we're going to have a season with Doubs where maybe he has between 800 and 900 yards receiving and like 8-9 touchdowns. It's a weird feeling. I've had that for a while now. Then you have Dontavian Wicks, who I think Green Bay is still really excited about him. I know fans are pretty down on him, but you look at him, and he's got your prototypical size as a wide receiver, a little over 6 foot, a little over 200 pounds. But he's the guy that last year you heard a lot of people use the Davante Adams comparison. And it was specifically with how he gets off the line of scrimmage. His releases off the line of scrimmage is what reminds people so much about Dontavian Wicks. Or it reminds so many people about Davante Adams with Dontavian Wicks, is that he's got this great release off the line of scrimmage. He can beat coverage. But last year, instead of taking a jump, he had issues catching the football. A lot of issues catching the football. He was still getting off the line of scrimmage, but just couldn't catch the dang ball. His rookie year in 2023, 581 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, 39 receptions on 58 targets. Nearly 20 more targets this past season, 76 targets, but ended up with the same amount of receptions, 39, fewer yards, 415, did have 5 touchdowns. I'm this is, to me, Dontavian Wicks. This is a big year 3 for Wicks, because I think we need to see it start to come together. Now, I'm not saying he's got to go out there and all of a sudden, have 1,100 yards receiving and 11 touchdowns and start putting up Devontae Adams numbers. I mean, Devontae didn't even do that in his 3rd year. But I think we want to, year 3 is an important year for Wicks to kind of showcase where it's all coming together. He's got that great release off the line of scrimmage. Great. Now, catch the ball, do something with the football. Make some big plays. He's got the ability for that. He's got the ability to be a really good wide receiver. We just need it to all mold together now with Dontavian. So can he continue by being a really good wide receiver at the line of scrimmage and just developing the whole game, being a threat down the field, being a threat with the football in his hands? Year 3, he's got to show that this year. And if he can, and if he can put it all together, I do believe he could be a special player. But we got to see it this year. Christian Watson, it's hard to kind of figure out the expectations for this year because we just don't know when he's going to be back. Is it November? I wouldn't be surprised if Christian Watson's back in Green Bay next year on a 1-year deal. I still feel like when you look at all of these wide receivers, Christian Watson is the guy that has the most intriguing traits. He's big. He's 6'4". He's fast. I know maybe a little bit slower initially after, coming back from an ACL, but as we've talked to Dr. Crow about before, they tend to get back to their normal speed. The physical traits are all there from Christian Watson. He was making strides last year. I really believe that, and the numbers show that too. But the big question is going to be when he does hit the field again this year, what is he going to be able to provide for the team, and will he be back in Green Bay on after this upcoming season? I don't know. If I had to pick between Dobbs and Watson and which one to keep, if it was between those two guys, I'd probably still pick Watson just because of what physical traits he brings to the table. A 6'4", big, fast wide receiver that you can split out wide and stretch the field with. I still like what he brings to the table. I hope he makes a full recovery, which sounds like he is on track. Seems like maybe he's even a little bit ahead of schedule. And when he gets on the field, it's just different. When he's on the field, it's a different offense. You have that big wide receiver that can take the top off. Maybe Matthew Golden can do that, but Matthew Golden's not 6'4". And Christian Watson, I think there's still something there with him. Maybe a disappointing first 3 years with him when you look at it from a numbers perspective. And you look at maybe some of the inconsistencies. His rookie year, slow start, but then caught fire in that second half. 2023, just played 9 games. And then 2024, played 15 games. People have this, I think, conception that he's injury prone, but when you look at it, 14 games his rookie year. Yes, 9 in 2023, but 15 last year. I don't think I'd label him injury prone yet. Yes, he's been dealing with some hamstring stuff. Seemed like he turned that corner after going to the UW-Madison with Eric Stokes last year. Wasn't dealing with that last year, but then tears his ACL. But he was on a bounce back year. 620 receiving yards, just a couple touchdowns. Had 7 his rookie year. But I think there's still more there with Christian Watson. And then you look at a couple newcomers here. McCall Hardman. I think he, he's on the roster bubble. I don't think he's like a lock to make the team. But I do think he will make the team. Part of it is going to be special teams. Part of it is because you're bringing in another veteran. And the other part is that Christian Watson will probably start to list on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. But I don't think anybody should really expect McCall Hardman to go out there and all of a sudden get you 500 receiving yards and like 6 touchdowns. I don't know if I have those expectations for him. The last time he eclipsed 500 yards was back in 2021. And he started off his career, I mean, okay, he was a rookie in 19. He had 538 receiving yards, then 560, then 693. But then you talk about the amount of games he's played. 2022, just 8. 2023, 11. 2024, 12. So I don't want to have super high expectations for McCall Hardman in the offensive side. Special teams, okay. We'll see how many opportunities he gets with Keyshawn. I know Keyshawn, has kind of changed his tune a little bit about that, but we'll see. That's going to be something to kind of see in training camp and preseason, who's going to get the first reps at returning kicks and such. But I think he'll make the team. But I don't expect a ton of production from him. Like, he's not going to be your number one wide receiver. I think he'll make a few like really good plays like he did in Kansas City, like big splash plays. He's going to be a guy that they're going to utilize in a lot of different packages. Between him and Jaden Reed and Savion Williams, you got 3 receivers that you could be a little creative with. You could put into motion. You can line up in the backfield. You could try to create some mismatches with. You could be creative with those guys. McCall is part of that. Let's start with, I know I mentioned Savion Williams, but let's start with Matthew Golden, the first round pick that, a lot of people are excited about. First wide receiver taken in the first round since Javon Walker. 6 foot, about a little over $190, depending on which sites you look at to where he's listed in that. Speed. He's got the speed. He's got a good catch radius. I think he's got the tools to potentially be a number 1 wide receiver. I just don't know if we'll see that his rookie year. I don't want to put that on him right away. But I think he's got the ability, the physical tools, and the talent to eventually be a number 1 wide receiver in this offense. And I'm excited to see, and I'm very intrigued to see how Matt LaFleur utilizes him. Like, what are the packages he's going to use him in? What is he really going to focus on in his first season as a rookie? Like, what Jane Reed's going to be out there. Dobbs is probably going to be out there right away too. I mean, you look at the depth chart, it's 3 wide receivers. It's Golden, it's Reed, it's Dobbs as your top 3 wide receivers. But how is Matthew Golden, going to be utilized his rookie year? I think you got to utilize the speed. Are they going to, primarily use him mid-range? Are they going to try to, stretch the field with him because they don't have Watson? How Matt LaFleur utilizes Matthew Golden this year is one of the things that I'm really intrigued about and seeing. But I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he's got the talent and those tools to eventually be a number 1 wide receiver for this team. And I'm excited to see that. And I'm excited to see Savion Williams too. Golden's getting a ton of the attention, rightfully so, because I think he can be that number 1. But Savion Williams is such a unique wide receiver that I just really hope Matt LaFleur puts on his mad scientist, hat and really tries to figure out ways to get the ball to Savion Williams, because this is a guy who is 6'4". He's over 225 pounds. He can give you a little wildcat. He can line up in the backfield. He can play a wide receiver role. To me, he's a bigger version of a Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, a guy that Kyle Shanahan liked to line up in the backfield. Deebo didn't always like it because of the wear and tear in his body, but he was a big wide receiver and he could do that. I think Savion, I know that's high comparison, high praise. I don't always like to do that. And I'm not trying to say he is the next Deebo Samuel. but he's got the size, and I think he's a little bit bigger than Debo, and he has the ability to do some of that stuff. And I hope we see that. I think we will. I don't think LaFleur is the type of coach to be like, okay, we're just going to have you focus on being a wide receiver, and this is what you're going to do. Utilize his strengths, utilize his skills, put him in different positions. He can do that. He's a receiver that can do that. Not all receivers can do that, right? I mean, we probably don't want Romeo Doubs to do some jet sweeps all the time, but Savion Williams is a guy that maybe we can do some jet sweeps with. Jaden Reed's a guy that maybe we can do some of that stuff with. I want to see Savion Williams utilized in a bunch of different ways. And you look at these wide receivers, and I feel like they all kind of bring something different to the table, or they can all do multiple things. And that when I look at this group as a whole, and if I'm a play caller and I'm building this offense, I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I could do some fun things. I could do some fun stuff with this group. I got this guy that could do this. I got this guy I could put here and try a little this, do a little misdirection. I mean, I'm expecting some new things, some explosive things in the passing game this year with this group. There might be a little growing pains with Williams and Golden. But when I look at the rest of this group and I see, a Jaden Reed mixed in with a Savion Williams and a McCole Hardman, guys that you can line up at different spots to try to create mismatches. I mean, good luck for a linebacker. You line up one of those guys in the backfield, then you motion them out, and then a linebacker goes on him. Good luck to that linebacker. You got Romeo Doubs, who I think is probably their top possession type wide receiver. Then you got Golden with his speed. You've got options. And, I'm not even throwing the tight ends in this conversation because they're going to be coming up in one of our latest next previews. I think the wide receiver group, there's a ton of potential and there's a ton of skill and a ton of talent with this group. And it's going to be up to LaFleur, up to Adam Stenovich, up to Jason Vrabel, to that offensive group to get the most out of these guys, to get the most talent out of these guys. They've got a bunch of unique skill sets. And it might be tough to get the ball a lot to these guys, but Jordan Love's going to be able to spread the ball around. Guys may not be able to get as many balls as they want, but I really believe that the potential is there with this group. Can it come together? Can it hit that potential? That's the question. And it starts with the coaching staff, putting them in a position to succeed, putting them in those right packages, but also the players themselves to reach that potential. I'm excited to see these guys grow. And I think you're going to see growth throughout the season. You might see a little bit of a slower start at the beginning, especially with, maybe the rookies. But when we hit like week 14, week 13, somewhere around there, I'm excited to see where this group's at. And maybe some of the fun stuff that they're doing on the offensive side, like, oh man, that play was sweet. Like, I really hope a lot of Mondays we're back on a Victory Monday. We're saying, dude, remember that one pass play or that one formation and or that one play call? That was sweet. That was such a sweet call. I'm hoping we're saying that a lot of times this year because I think we have that ability with this group. I know it's a tough, tall task, and it's putting a lot on the shoulders of those young guys, but I feel like this is a group that has a unique skill set that can really, if I'm a play caller and I'm a play designer, I would be so excited about. I got to imagine LaFleur is too. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll wrap up the second hour. Continue to send me your Toys Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday, your bench star cuts, fair food edition, corn dogs, cheese curds, funnel cakes, what you got. All right. We'll be back in just a couple minutes to wrap up hour 2. Need to get your vehicle in for maybe an oil change. Maybe you need some new brakes. Maybe you need some new tires. Maybe you just need a lot of repairs done on it. Where do you go? You head on over to AJM Automotive, located at 1919 Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire. They can hook you up with a bunch of different things. Full scale automotive repairs, even small engine repairs. So lawnmower acting up, take her on in. Make your appointment with AGM Automotive. 715-835-9523. And don't forget, they also offer towing services. I know you probably don't even want to talk about that. You don't want to get into a situation where you need a tow, but sometimes it happens. And then you're like, I don't know who to call. Like, who do I look up? Maybe you're not in an area where you can Google something like that. So save the number, all right? 715-835-9523. That's AJM Automotive. AJM Automotive, located 1919 Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire. Maybe you just want to get an oil change or get your car filled up, so you can head on over to our good friends at the VFW Post 305. I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty hungry, and they've all got some sweet daily specials every day at VFW Post 305. Make sure you're following along on their Facebook page too, because sometimes they'll post some photos of what their specials are for that day, and that will instantly get you healthy. But it's summer. What don't you want to sit on that back patio, taking a look at Dell's Pond, the river, while enjoying a cool beverage with a great meal from VFW Post 305? Sounds awesome, right? And they've always got events going on. They got bands playing all the time over there. Awesome environment, awesome people at the VFW Post 305. Just got a few minutes left to the top of the hour here. So coming up next hour, we got a busy hour. We're going to talk with Pete Knutson from the Eau Claire Express for our Tuesday Eau Claire Express chats. So that'll be just past 8 o'clock. The Express picking up the win last night. They're back at Carson Park tonight, taking on Thunder Bay. And don't forget, tomorrow, got a double header for the Express too. Kids Day for the first one and such. So, but we'll chat with Pete. It's coming up here in just a little bit. After that, then we will be chatting with RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst from the Zone in Madison. We'll talk a little Badger football with RJ. You know, I know when we get closer and closer to the season, we'll probably throw this out here a couple of times here. But I mean, where's your enthusiasm level, Badger fans, for this upcoming season, knowing that it's going to be an incredibly difficult schedule, a top 5 schedule in the nation in terms of strength. I mean, difficulty, it's up there. Big Ten, it is the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten. A team that really, you look at the last couple years and you've got Badgers fans like saying, what is going on here? And then you throw in the fact that they've got this insanely difficult schedule. Where is the enthusiasm level for this upcoming Badger football season for you? On one hand, are you like, hey, gonna see some good teams, or maybe you're like, it ain't there, man, because I'm not expecting. The line's at 5.5 right now. Got a new offensive coordinator. It sounds like maybe going back to the good old days of running the football, but what's the identity of this team? What is the team identity right now? Do we even know? Do we even know at this point? But we'll talk a little Badger football with Mr. RJ coming up. Let's say about 8:25 or so. You could continue to send me your bench start cuts. We're doing a little fun one, little fair food edition with the Northern Wisconsin State Fair starting up this week. You got your 3 choices of a corn dog, some cheese curds, or like funnel cakes, fry bread, elephant ears, whatever you want to call it. Bench one, start one, cut one. What do you got? Come on, we all have our favorites. Okay, send those on over. And then some Toys and Ford, grind my gears. What's grinding your gears? Send them on over, either the texting line on socials or on the video stream. Also, too, try to get to some more Brewers talk at the back end of the final hour. We got the Mizorowski versus Kershaw. Kind of a question been thrown out there. Do you think the Brewers are just one power bat away from being a legitimate World Series contender? About 50% of you saying yes. About 35 saying no. And the remaining of you saying they're already a World Series contender. What side are you on? Let me know. 2 hours in, we got one more to go. We got some news updates, and we'll jump right into it. Talking some Eau Claire Express baseball coming up after these updates. All right, final hour on this Tuesday morning of July 8th. Coming at you. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with our good friend RJ down in Madison. We'll talk a little Badgers with him as we get maybe a little bit closer and closer to the start of the college football season. So we'll do our Badger update with RJ. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as well with Mizorowski on the mound tonight, taking on Clayton Kershaw, game 2 of this series, with the Brewers winning 9-1 last night. Freddie Peralta pitching a gem, picking up his 10th win of the season. We'll see if the Brewers can nab another win and secure a series win. The Twins are also in action, taking on the Cubbies. So go Twins if you're Brewers fans, to help out the crew there a little bit. But also, maybe you're going to be at Carson Park tonight, because the Express are back in action. They're coming off of a win last night against Thunder Bay. So helping us break that down. And the season overall, too, is the voice, Pete Knutson, that you hear on the airways for a long time covering the Express. Good morning, Pete. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm not bad, man. I'm not bad. So big win last night against Thunder Bay.
Needed it.
Yeah, definitely. And tonight against Thunder Bay, got the doubleheader coming up on Wednesday, too. So bunch of kids in the stands for that first game for sure. So
yeah, it's always fun.
First off, I gotta lead off going to the games. I love your previews on the big board.
Those look good, right?
Yeah, I love that new feature that you guys got going this year.
Yeah, we used to, before that, we used to do like an audio one, and I'm not sure anybody was paying attention. So, yeah, it's cool that we can put that up on the board, and we have to make them for the video broadcast anyway. So, I figured we could very easily give some content to the video board, which has gotten really good, I think, since the season has started. And I think maybe not tonight because it's Thunder Bay, so it's Ben Peterson, who's been doing our some of those graphics, I think he's got some maple leafs or something flying at you, but he's got like a husky when Duluth is here that kind of like stares into your soul from back behind it. He had a goose when the Honkers were in town that kind of did the quick head twitch and whatnot, like all of a sudden staring at you and then staring away. And so those little things, I guess when you're there every day, those are the little things that make you laugh as you're watching baseball. But yeah, that's been fun. And it gives everybody a good idea of kind of like, what's actually going on. Because a lot of people show up and they just go, what is this again? Are these guys minor leaguers? Right. And so it's good to kind of get them a little bit of a preview of what we are and where everybody's at.
Absolutely. So Thunder got the win last night against Thunder Bay. Tonight's game 2 of this series, and it's going to be Easton Bob's back on the mound tonight. He's been fun to watch this year for the Express.
Yeah. He's pitched well. And go figure, right? Again, it's the local kids who have kind of been a big piece of this team. Again, Walker Retz made the All-Star team.
Yep.
Obviously out of Boyceville, and he's been a lot of fun to watch. He's been fun from the perspective that, he just graduated from St. Thomas. So there's no coach saying, hey, you're on an innings limit. And,
good point. Yeah.
So he can pitch as long as he wants and as much as he wants, which is a good thing. And obviously he's trying to get a look so that he can, maybe play pro ball somewhere and do that. But yeah, he's been good. Easton Bob tonight, and again, to see a Chippewa kid and obviously have that connection there. I don't know. I haven't asked him. I don't know. Vic Cable, our pitching coach, obviously a teacher at Chi-High for a long time. I don't know if I'm assuming that Vic was retired by the time he was in school, but maybe they overlapped for a year since it hasn't been too long since Vic's been retired. But that's always been cool too, when you see those guys and they're like, oh yeah, I had class with Mr. Cable and that. So yeah, it's good.
I can't wait for the bobbleheads of those of Vic and Dale to come out there too.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's is that right after the All-Star break?
I believe, right after the All-Star break. So I have to nab a couple of those to put in our studio.
Well, what was sad that when Vic had his first bobblehead night, which was years ago now, we had a rain out that night, but it was one where it was like a late rain out, so the gates open. There were a bunch of people with like Vic signs. Like that was one of the biggest nights of whatever season that was. And then they all had to leave because we had a rain out. But so hopefully we get good weather for those. And those, Vic and Dale bobblehead nights tend to be pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're in the second half of the season now for the Express. And, looking at, first half didn't clinch a playoff spot, but they got an opportunity to in the second half.
Yeah.
And, we're about a week away from the All-Star, from the All-Star game.
Yep.
And looking at schedule, in one of your write-ups too that I was looking at earlier this morning, maybe the schedule's setting up for the Express too to kind of, going
Yeah.
up against these teams to make a run and
Yeah.
potentially get that playoff spot.
Yeah, I think it's got to happen now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, last night against Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is pretty depleted from what they had in the first half. Their first half team was pretty solid. They only lost by a game and a half
Mhm.
behind Lacrosse for that first half, but they lost a kid who I thought was maybe the easiest all-star pick of the whole Great Plains division in Jordan Bach. He's gone. A couple other guys that they had that were really good are gone as well. So they got a lot of new players, and not only do we play them tonight, but then in Thunder Bay right before the All-Star break as well. So
Mhm.
those, Minot's had some good games, but we only play them for that doubleheader tomorrow. And
Mhm.
record wise, in theory, we should beat them those two, and then go to Rochester for two. And Rochester has been, not. I mean,
Yeah.
they were kind of Colorado Rockies style, not so great. So in theory, right, like, not saying you're going to go 8-0, including last night over
Mhm.
those 8 games, but 7-1, 6-2 if you want a shot, right? I
Mhm.
think that's what we kind of need to do to have a shot, because once you come back from the All-Star break, there's a lot of Lacrosse, there's a lot of Duluth, there's a lot of Waterloo, and
Mhm.
those are your 3 best teams in the division. So I think we got to build up some wins
Momentum in
now.
that too. Yeah, maybe kind of build that momentum because
Yeah.
because you mentioned Duluth, I think is what 7-1 right now in the second half.
Yeah, they
of
look
this,
pretty.
So
They look pretty good.
right.
They got some solid players. At Ethan Surwick, who's out of Ole Miss. He's the real deal. I mean, not only is he an all-star, but he may be league MVP with the way he's playing. So,
Wow.
so they're pretty solid, and they've got some, I think, questions at pitching, but their lineup is good, and they're one of those teams. There's a number of those teams in the league who just literally they get on base and they say, "I'm getting a third." Like, I don't care. And if I get thrown out, I think they think, I'll get thrown out fewer times than I'm not. And
Mhm.
so we're okay getting thrown out a few times. We're just going to be super aggressive on the base paths. It puts pressure on you, and it's tough. So they're a tough team, regardless. So it'd be cool to nip them a little bit
Right.
here, and hopefully they can go on a little losing skid at some point, and
Yeah.
we'll get in there. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. That's
Well,
for sure.
speaking of being aggressive on the base paths, we were at the game last Wednesday, and I mean, Coach Dale Varsho stealing home, sending a guy to steal home
Yeah.
in that game, and then that was crazy ending. To be
that
up
was,
and
that was that 8-7 walk-off.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Express were down, then they take the lead, and then down again in the ninth, but then
Mhm.
score 4. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
a crazy finish, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever saw stealing home.
Isn't it exciting, right?
Yeah.
And it happened. It was interesting. It happened with a righty on the mound. I mean, obviously going from the windup, but typically you see guys steal. It's a lefty, right? Because their
Yeah.
backs to the runner at third. And so he took off and still was able to do the swim move around it to get there. Quentin Coates, the guy who stole, I think he arguably might be the best player so far this season for us out of the University of Cincinnati. He's been really solid, big guy. He's got the most home runs on the team, most doubles, I think, on the team too. And so yeah, he's solid. He's fun to watch. Adam Salazar last night, like, fake like he was going to steal a home again. I thought, are we going to get 2 steals of home within a week? This is going to be crazy. And then he stopped about halfway down the line. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I think it's the first time that someone's stolen home for the Express successfully since 2014. But that's all
Wow.
based on just my memory.
Right. That's still
So
pretty impressive.
I don't know if that's true or not, but we're gonna roll with it because that's the last time I can remember somebody doing it. So
That was, I mean, just a crazy finish too. So,
yeah.
Second half too. For do we have any new players that kind of joined the team with the second half?
Yeah. Kid just came yesterday. Sean Barta from the University of Arizona. He's a Pima Community College kid. There's a couple guys from Pima. They're a really good community college in Arizona. He hit 380 for them, and he's going to Arizona obviously this next fall. So he's pretty solid. My guess is we'll probably see some pitchers come in here too, right? This is kind of the time where you start to see that. And yeah, I'm sure Dale has probably a few guys in the in the queue, basically waiting here. Because again, this is for these guys, this is about being introduced to what professional ball would be like. And for most of them, sure, they played a lot of baseball in their lives, but even a college season, right? You're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then maybe like a midweek game, right? So you're playing 4 times a week. You're playing 7 times a week here, maybe 6, right? And so, bodies aren't used to that. And this is about the time where I usually start getting worried about fatigue, about injuries, and just because they're not used to it, right? That they go, holy cow, this is what it's like. I gotta get my body ready every day. I've got to hit every day. I've got to lift every day. I've got to, make sure I'm eating right and all that, which can be tough in a summer. So they really get a let's not say a rude awakening, but they get an awakening to what that looks like, which is good, right? Because if they want to make and play pro ball, this is what it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've been around the team all summer long, and I kind of like to ask this once we're in the second half or a big chunk of the season. When you think about this team, or what kind of stands out to you about this team, whether it's a personality standpoint or maybe it's just man, they're a really good offensive team and such.
Yeah.
Is there anything that really stands out to you about this current squad?
Yeah, I mean, the offense is good. I look back to like last year, where the offense was off the charts, right? But our pitching just couldn't quite keep up with it. I think we had, what was it, a 6.9 ERA or something at the end of the year, which obviously isn't going to win you a lot of games. But the pitching staff is about a whole run better on ERA this year. So I think our pitching is a little better this year. And hitting wise, it's a group where you don't really necessarily know who it's going to be each night. Which can be a good thing, right? You're not necessarily just relying on one guy. I think right now Quentin Coates is the guy where, if you're in the concession line, you might think about hopping out of the line to see his at bat kind of thing if he's coming up, and then getting back in there. But so he's been kind of the one. But yeah, I think that's one of the issues with the squad so far is that we haven't figured out that identity yet. Not to say we can't, right? It's still there, but a lot of teams will say, hey, we got a bunch of speedsters, we're a running team. Or we just mash the ball. We've got X number of home runs, and we're going to power it. So it's kind of been trying to figure out what that identity is. And you got like Alex Hendrickson, you got Eddie Alonso at the top of the lineup, who those guys can run really well. This should be kind of that traditional Dale Varsho, that traditional baseball team. Good speedsters at the top, good power guys in the middle, and then some good guys at the bottom too. So I think it can find its identity. It's still working it out though. And so that's why I think this stretch of games can be really big, right? Figure that out and if you're winning, then you can say, hey, now we know how we're going to win. We know what the formula is, and we can try to translate that to the teams that are at the top of the division later on.
A lot of lefties in that lineup too. It feels like for the Express.
Yeah, Dante Bikini from Cal Poly, who just got here as well. Nick Mascaro, who hit that walk-off against Rochester from Cal State Bakersfield. He's another good lefty. Yeah, and Hendrickson, like we said. Salazar, I like him. He's a really fun player. Second baseman. McGuire Turner's a righty who is out of Montevallo. We haven't talked much about, but he's another solid guy too. And yeah, a lot of lefties, which in theory gets you some speed, right? Get you that extra step to first and see that. But yeah, a lot of lefties, which in theory is good because usually it's right-handed pitchers you're going against in the Northwood League. But I feel like we've seen a ton more left-handers this season than we're used to, which is kind of weird. But yeah, a lot of fun guys to watch.
So when you see the Northwoods League, I mean, you've been involved with the Northwoods League for a while now too, and just to see the how it's evolved over the years. I mean, we got the draft coming up, so I'm always curious to see the Northwoods League players, getting drafted. And like I was at the Twins Brewers game a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was cool. They did a Northwoods League feature before the game.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
and I didn't even know
easy to do.
Right? Yeah,
with those two teams.
Yeah, and I didn't know Joey Ortiz played for Wilmer.
Yeah,
and they
Brooks
mentioned
Lee,
that too.
right?
Yep. And I saw the Jackson posters outside of the Twin Cities and such. So to see the growth of this Northwoods League over the year, I mean, what's that been like for you to kind of see it? And maybe just from a player standpoint, with all the talent to come through, and when it comes to draft, you always kind of pay attention to that to see where the Northwoods League players kind of fall in there.
Yeah. There's usually, Northwoods League usually is pretty good about tweeting out or putting together good stories about how many guys get drafted and whatnot. So yeah, you kind of keep your eye on it. I think I would say we did it more, but you used to have more when you had 40 rounds,
right?
Which you don't have anymore, which is kind of sad, right? Because you get the guys like Caleb Bosley who pitched for the Express, who gets drafted. I think he was 37th or 39th round out of lacrosse, and ends up pitching a few times for the Brewers, and now is kind of getting tossed around a little bit. But you miss those guys a little bit, which is kind of fun. The guys who work from the rounds of 30, but it's pretty cool, right? Brooks Lee's a good example with Twins playing for Wilmer. Obviously, Griffin Jack's playing with the Twins, who played for us as well. And so yeah, you see those guys everywhere. I mean, you got Pete Alonso who's winning home run derbies, and all these guys that you just look at, and it's one of the things that the league tells all the broadcasters before they say, and I probably don't follow this advice as much, but they're like, hey, it's important when you're broadcasting, get excited for everybody, because you never know when that guy who hits a home run from the visiting team, is going to make the majors. And we use that highlight in a commercial or in some social media post. And you want to be excited about it because you just saw a guy who might, make the major leagues hitting that. So, it depends on the situation. Sometimes I'll get sufficiently excited for a visitor, maybe if we're up by 6, 7, 8 runs, but when we're losing, I tend to be like, oh gosh, here's a home run there. Let's move on to the next thing. But yeah, that's been the cool guys now who've been in the majors, and really good guys, right? I mean, we play commercials of Curtis Granderson, for instance, who's now retired, right? Still talking about how he still talks to his host family, like once a month, right? From his Northwoods League days when he played for the Mankato Mashers. That's a whole team name ago for Mankato, right? Back 20 years ago. So, so it's super cool to see all that. And now, you look at guys like Zimmerman and Calhoun are retired, right? They're retired and they played for us. So, you're not even talking about current guys sometimes. You're talking about guys who played a whole career and still talk about, their time in the Northwoods League, which is really formative and really important in their lives. So.
And I thought that was cool, too, with when you guys do the player card giveaways.
Yeah.
And on the back, they, they asked a question about, the Express and their experience. I thought that was a cool feature to add that on there, too.
Yeah. So just see what they say. And, it's very rare that you hear, especially a guy who makes, the majors say that he had a bad experience in the Northwoods League. Usually they say it got me ready, right? Like that was my first taste of being there. I think one of the commercials we play is Max Scherzer talking about it and saying like, it's my first time away from home. It was my first chance playing baseball. I was kind of, growing up a little bit and had to figure things out and go figure. I mean, think about how important that is when you're playing single A ball, right? Like that you've had that experience and you're not, maybe you feel a little homesick, but you don't feel as homesick because you've done this once or twice before, right?
Right.
So it is really important for that.
Yeah. So looking at the schedule tonight, again, Thunder Bay, it's Margaritaville tonight too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So get ready.
Right.
I never get to participate in any of those things, Dan.
I didn't think you would.
I probably, I could Bob Euchre it and try to,
you
right?
should.
Or
in honor of Bob.
Yeah, in honor of Bob.
In honor of Bob. Yes.
Right.
Tomorrow's a doubleheader. So the first game against Minot Kids Day, kids goodie bag giveaway. Then later on that night, Tyler's amazing balancing act.
Yeah, that dude is something, man.
Yeah.
That dude's got a crazy story, right? He played college ball and like while he was playing college ball, figured out he could balance stuff.
Right.
And he has a lot of fun with the crowd. A lot of good crowd work there from him. So that's pretty cool.
And then, because then this might be if you want to catch a game, and why wouldn't you? Because it's summer in baseball in Eau Claire for these next couple of games. Because then it's a little bit of a road trip, All-Star break. Then they come back, and it's a little bit more of a road trip. So, after tomorrow, the next home game is going to be July 20th. It looks like so.
And it's like the end of the summer, dude.
Exactly.
What are we doing here?
Right. So
I got to get ready for the school year.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Training camp for football starts that week too. So get to Carson Park and cheer, because as you mentioned too a little bit earlier, this is a chance here for the Express to make up some ground.
I do believe, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. At least this is what I have heard. But because the Express are playing the Hot Tots tomorrow, there will be tater tot concession items. I don't know if they're I know there are tater tots. I don't know if there's what options are on those. But I would say just come to the park and find out. But it sounds like there will be some tater tot
me and my guy
options.
will be there.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there. So
nice.
Tater tots, heck yeah, dude.
Yeah. So if he's into tater tots,
if he's not,
go.
I am. So
yeah, right.
We got that covered.
Right.
So.
Somebody is.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah. So Pete, big thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us for a while. Keep up the awesome work, and looking forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right, let's go get some wins.
You got it. All right, let's take a quick break. RJ Cardinal, he'll be joining us coming up in just a few minutes.